Have you ever felt so bored to the point where you feel like you're watching paint dry? Well, as Halloween is creeping around the corner, there are many fall activities you can participate in. One of them being pumpkin carving. But what if you do not know how to carve a pumpkin? Pumpkin carving has been a Halloween tradition in most families for many years. My family has also followed this tradition. Every October, we all get together and carve pumpkins. This is something we have done every year since I was old enough to participate. To carve pumpkins, it only requires 9 materials, which can usually be household items. Carving a pumpkin has only 9 steps depending on what direction you take. You can choose a plain design like the common face with triangle eyes, or a more complicated one. Choosing something more complicated may change the number of steps and materials needed. I will demonstrate the steps you need to take to carve your pumpkin and the materials used. To begin, you will need to get your materials to carve your pumpkin. The right materials are crucial for this task. Now let us go over the materials needed. First, let us get newspaper to put under your pumpkin. Second, you will need some type of scraping tool to scrape out the insides of your pumpkin. Next, you will need a knife or something equivalent to one. The fourth material needed is a store-bought design book or some type of device where you can search up designs. This could be something like a phone, computer, or tablet. Fifth, get some type of marker, preferably black, so you can draw the designs onto the pumpkin. Sixth, you'll use some type of washcloth to wash off your pumpkin. Seventh, get some type of paper towel or dry rag to dry off your pumpkin. Eighth, you will need a pumpkin to carve. It can be any size if big enough for your design. The ninth material you will need is a candle. This part can be optional. We will discuss the steps you need to successfully carve your pumpkin. The first step will be to get some type of newspaper. It can be old or new. This will be to lay your pumpkin on the surface you will be carving on. The newspaper will prevent messes when carving your pumpkin. It will also make it much easier to clean up afterwards. The next step is to take your cutting tool of your choice and cut around the stem in a diamond shape. It may not be perfect, but this is the best way to get the top off. The hole where you cut the diamond needs to be big enough to the point where your arm can reach in. Your arm needs to reach in so you can get the seeds and the insides of the pumpkin out. The third step is when you scrape out the seeds and the insides of the pumpkin. You can put the seeds aside and save them for later to cook and eat. Make sure to get as much of the seeds and insides of the pumpkin out as possible. This will create a much easier space to cut out your design. The fourth step will be to the fourth step is to clean your pumpkin off with a washcloth. Get as much dirt off as you can. This will make a clean space to put your design on. When trying to get the design on your pumpkin while it is dirty, it makes it much harder for the marker to be visible. In the fifth step, you will take some type of towel or dry rag to dry off the pumpkin after washing it. The marker you will use to draw your design onto the pumpkin will not show up very well if your pumpkin is still wet. Drying it off will make it much easier for your marker to appear on the pumpkin. In the sixth step, you will take your marker and draw the design onto the pumpkin. This provides a layout for where you will be cutting. If you're using a design book, you will not need a marker, but you will need to lay your design onto the pumpkin to get a visual of where you'll be cutting. The seventh step is to take the cutting tool of your choice and cut the design out. Depending on your design, this may be tricky, so be careful. The more complex your design is, the more complicated it is to cut. The eighth step is to take some type of washcloth and wash your pumpkin off once again. The reason for this will be to get all the lines from your marker off the pumpkin and any excess dirt you may have missed. This step will end up making your pumpkin look a lot nicer. The last step will be to take a candle and put it inside of your pumpkin and light it. The candle can either be real or fake. The candle just adds a nice touch to your finished look, and this can be optional, so if you choose not to, take the carved pumpkin and put it outside for display. Now let us discuss what we just went over. I previously explained the materials that will be needed to carve your pumpkin and exactly how many you will need. I then went on to give you a detailed description of the steps that will be needed to take to successfully carve your pumpkin. Carving a pumpkin should be something that everyone does at least once in their lives. This fall activity can be done all throughout your life at any age. There is no age limit on carving pumpkins, so take all of your family and friends and carve some pumpkins. Go ahead and display your pumpkins for all of the trick-or-treaters to see. And then this is my final result of my carved pumpkin.